During the next 6 weeks, we're going to have an opportunity to continue to grow in thinking differently about ourselves, our bodies, our eating, and about our God. That's the most important thing. We want to have an accurate view of our wonderful God and King, of course. I hope that you had a chance to look through your book, but the most important thing I think that I get out of the introductory material is that this book was never written with the intention that it would be just used in a quiet time and that time sequestered away from everybody else. That's a precious time, don't misunderstand. But it was intended that it would then be shared, that what God shows you in your private time with Him would then be shared in community, ideally in real life, I'm sure. But here we are at the blog, and we have a community here where we can talk about what God is doing in our lives. And so I want to encourage you, let's do that. Let's be sure that we make use of this tool, this blog, and interact in community. Even better, if you grab an accountability partner. Is there somebody at the blog whose comments really resonate with you? Somebody that you could perhaps reach out to and ask her, I want to be considered an accountability partner for you, if you will for me. If you see somebody like that, you feel free to email me and give me your information and tell me that it's okay for me to offer your information to her, and I will shoot her an email with your email address and invite her to contact you. Okay, so there's no reason anybody here not have an accountability partner, somebody to hold you up in prayer, somebody that you can lift up in prayer, somebody that you can walk with through this journey during the next 6 weeks. Just 6 weeks, that's all we're asking. 6 weeks. It's not a marriage, it's not for forever or till death do you part. We want to not operate in isolation, both here at the blog and in hopefully one-on-one email opportunities. I'd love for you to get the support and encouragement that you need for this journey. On pages 9 and 10 of this version of Heal, which I think is the second version of this book, second edition, pages 9 and 10, there are some Heal principles that are mentioned here. And first of all, like I just mentioned, the Heal journey is a shared journey. And I won't go into that anymore. Allie and Judy do. Heal is centered on God. And this is key. It's not centered on ourselves or on our worldly wisdom or like I read about how in such and such a dieting magazine. We want to shed for 6 weeks. For 6 weeks, I want us to focus on this material and what God is going to do through this material and through one another and the participation here at the blog. Can we give it 6 weeks without thinking about wisdom that comes from the world or focusing entirely on myself and what I have learned from my previous dieting experiences? Let's have a fresh slate. For 6 weeks, let's have a fresh slate. The third principle that is mentioned on page 9 is Heal offers a freedom-filled approach toward food. And that is really counter to dieting wisdom. So if you think you're going to dabble in Weight Watchers one day and come back over here, go over to the Zone or Atkins or whatever, and then come back here, it's going to cause more confusion for you than you want. I'm asking you, come and stay with us for 6 weeks, just 6 weeks. Maybe take it 1 week at a time. Okay, for 1 week. Can you give us just 1 week wholeheartedly? I hope that you will. The fourth principle is Heal is a lifestyle. We can't just segment our lives into this is my dieting life or my weight life or my how I feel about my body life or this is my church life, this is my work life, this is my home life, this is my hobby life over here. Life is integrated. And this journey that we're going to be on for 6 weeks is integrated. We're going to not sequester ourselves away from the rest of life. We're going to invite life to be integrated. And that hopefully will make more sense as we go on. And then Heal is about living the abundant life, one step at a time. Jesus came that we might have life abundantly. And that's a quality of life, not a quantity of life. He came that we might not just make it through. He came that we might have an awesome, dynamic, happening life as we walk with Him, hand in hand with Him. Now, one of the things that Allie and Judy have done in this material is make reference to the participants as girls. This book was written specifically with a college population in mind, but I've I've chosen it because truly I think that we are all in one sisterhood. We have many of the same, those of us who are a little more mature than the 20s, than 22, we still have many things in common with our 20-something sisters. In fact, there are many ways that I am very much like I was when I was in college. I still long to be thought of as beautiful. I still want, I'm going to cry talking about this, I still want the man that I love to see me and to have his eyes light up because of what he sees, not just what he knows about my character. And I know that she talks about the problems with guys and whatnot. Let's just decide that we can adapt the material. If you're a more mature believer like myself, we can adapt the material easily into our own lives. And if you are a 20-something or a 30-something, then I'm sure you'll feel right at home with her material. In any event, another thought for those of us who are a little more mature is you might consider as you go through this the possibility that God might be calling you to lead a young lady, a younger lady, or a group of younger ladies through the material later. And I'd love for you to consider that, and that would be awesome. Anyway, so don't be offended by the reference to girls. We are girls, so there you go, girls. Anyway, there are 3 things that I want to highlight for you at the beginning of this study, things that I hope that you're going to allow God to work in your life. First of all, you are fearfully and wonderfully made. And that phrase from Psalm 139 is kind of a foundational verse out of a foundational passage for this entire study. And I really hope that if you are like me and you need to renew your mind to think God's thoughts about yourself as a person, about your body, that you will use that passage to help you think differently, to think God's thoughts about your mind. So that's an assignment for you that'll last 6 weeks. I want you at the end of these 6 weeks to say, I am fearfully and wonderfully made, and I praise you for that fact, God, and believe it with all your heart. Secondly, for 6 weeks, I'm asking you to commit to this path. For 6 weeks, it's just 6 weeks. That's all. 6 weeks. You can do almost anything for 6 weeks. I just know you can. It's not even 2 months. It's just a month and a half. So I'm asking you, prayerfully consider, can you faithfully show up, faithfully participate on the blog, faithfully do your lesson, faithfully pray for others whose names you see here, faithfully apply the principles of freedom, not dieting, but of freedom that are found in this material. Can you do that for 6 weeks? And then the third thing I want to challenge you with and encourage you, ask God to help you to step into the light where you're not hiding from the truth about yourself. You're trying not to any longer hide from God or hide from others, but especially to tell the truth, to find out what the truth really is about yourself, and to be open to God and what He might want to do with that truth. John chapter 8 tells us that when you know the truth will set you free. It's a principle we can pull out of that passage. And I believe that as you step into the light and refuse to hide any longer, that you will experience a freedom that you never even imagined is there for you. I know that's been true for me. And so I just want to challenge you. Go into your study each week, each day, and say, God, open my eyes to see truth. I don't want to hide from myself or from you or from trusted others any part of who I am. Okay, in the material during the first week, and you're going to have the whole lesson 1 to do, and that means even the group study section for lesson 1. Okay, so you're going to do the personal study and the group study, and we'll have opportunities to dialogue here at the blog about that. When you get to the where I am evaluation, I want you to give your answers prayerful consideration, but no, there's no wrong answers. This is you don't have to share it with anybody. You don't have to share it with us unless you choose to. Another thing I want you to be aware of is the hunger scale has some negative numbers in it, and that's because there are some who are doing this study who don't eat when they are signaled with a 0. They actually wait beyond that, and I think certainly an anorexic person would be in that category, but there are others of us who might be in that category as well. 0 is physical hunger. 5 is physical satisfaction. And then the numbers 6 through 10 are varying levels of too full, till 10 is, oh, I'm stuffed, I've got to unbutton my pants. Okay. So be aware that the hunger scale is a little different than within, but 0 to 5 is still the target. And then renew your mind. When you catch a lie trying to bombard your thoughts or your mind, I want to invite you, stop that lie, take your thought captive, and then replace that lie or that negative thought with things that are in God's Word that you know are true. Use this as an opportunity to continue to renew your mind. Or if you haven't yet done that, look up Romans 12:2 and know that God wants to use you to use His Word, His thoughts, to replace thoughts that are destructive in your mind and in your thinking. Please keep visiting the blog this week for additional content. Whether you are in the study or not, I plan to have content that will support you in your Thin Within journey, and if you're in the study, that as well. Okay? So you're doing the first section, personal study and group study this week. You're going to renew your mind anytime you find a destructive thought coming up, and you're going to keep visiting the blog, participating in community, not operating in isolation. Look forward to seeing what new thing God is going to be doing in the next 6 weeks.